Tonight, police and protesters come face to face at the Ambassador Bridge. More officers arrive to dismantle the blockade that has paralyzed cross-border traffic since Monday. Ottawa still under siege as demonstrations stretch into a third weekend. Plus, gearing up for Sunday's big game. The excitement ramping up for a Super Bowl matchup almost no one predicted.
This is CTV News.
We are opening up this intersection to traffic. If you fail to comply with our instructions, you will be arrested.
All eyes on the city of Windsor as police step up enforcement to end the border blockade. Despite a court injunction that came into effect yesterday evening, some protesters are still refusing to leave. Thanks for joining us for your evening news. I'm Sejal Liu. Action today at the border blockade at the foot of the Ambassador Bridge. After 5 days of blocking traffic on North America's busiest commercial border crossing, police have moved in. CTV's Rich Garten joins us at the scene of the blockade with the latest. Good evening, Rich.
Hi, Seja. Today was without a doubt a big turning point in the demonstration. After days of keeping the peace, police finally took action. Just after 8 o'clock this morning, police started moving in. Hundreds of Windsor and London police, OPP and RCMP officers marched off of city and yellow buses, forming a human barricade. Acting on emergency orders from the province and a court injunction granted last night to clear the blockade.
We've gone through all the steps that we can go through to try and resolve this peacefully through diplomacy, negotiation, and we're still working on that. We're still prioritizing human life, human safety.
The heavy equipment, including tactical vehicles, arrived on scene. As plainclothes officers went through the encampment, demonstrators hurried to remove tents. Sweeping up debris. Step by step, demonstrators pushed back from their stronghold and away from the bridge.
How far are you going to go? You're going to push us back to there and then what?
One by one, vehicles which had been parked on Huron Church Road for 6 days drove out of the blockade. Some left freely, while those who didn't move their vehicles were towed. The crowd of demonstrators, which had been about 100 strong during the week, swelled throughout the day. Hundreds of supporters of all ages joined hour by hour in what could almost be mistaken for a Canada Day celebration.
Oh, I've never seen anything like this, but I think the people had enough, and it's time to, take a stand, right?
This man, Dirk, would only give his first name. He says despite the removal of the blockade, their message was loud and clear.
And everybody's standing for freedom of our rights. Freedom to choose what we want to choose, right?
Police say no arrests were made and the blockade was pushed back peacefully and without force.
Well, temperatures can run high, but these officers are trained to deal with it.
The crowd moved along with police and stopped about 100 meters from the once occupied intersection of Huron Church Road in College Avenue.
When you mess with Windsor, you mess with some people that do not back down.
That's where progress stopped. Police now look to be waiting them out, hoping things remain non-violent.
For everybody's benefit, our local community, our international community, and for their own well-being, I'd ask them to stop.
The ultimate goal, to reopen the Ambassador Bridge, get traffic flowing, and stop any new blockades from popping up.
This isn't over!
And if you take a look right now, you can see there's still a fairly big crowd. There's still a few vehicles on site. Nothing has really changed since about 1 o'clock this afternoon. There are still plenty of children here. There's a lot of people still playing sports in the street. There's music pumping, and people are having a jolly old time. And we can also tell you that there are a few vehicles that were towed from the area. As for when the bridge is going to open, we don't know. There's still a road blocked here, but I'm sure that businesses, the auto industry, the greenhouse industry, every business that relies on the border is very keen to get this road open and get that bridge open. Sitcha, back to you.
Absolutely, Rich. We're talking economically, millions of dollars lost every hour. Stay safe out there. Now, Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkens speaking out against the blockade on CTV News Channel earlier today. He says he expects the bridge will be cleared peacefully by police and stresses the importance of having this international crossing reopened.
I can tell you it's probably 9 to 1, at least in my city, of folks who are saying, move faster, get these folks out of there, because everyone in this city understands and appreciates the importance of having the Ambassador Bridge open, because so many families in my community rely on smooth and efficient border crossings to put bread on their table. And when they're sent home from work at Ford or any of the auto parts suppliers, it has a direct and material impact on families who live here in my community.
In Ottawa, protesters are digging in for a 16th day. Thousands are streaming into the capital, reviving the celebrations that have become a weekly tradition in the downtown core and ignoring calls from the Premier and Prime Minister to stay home. CTV's Colton Prail with the latest on this situation in Ottawa.
For 2 weeks, the War Memorial stood protected. But Saturday, Ottawa police were outnumbered and unable to stop the protesters, many who claim to be veterans, from pulling down the fences.
It was significant that it happened because people are trying to give a message that you can't just muzzle us. You know, you can't put a mask over our face. You can't keep us away from this. If the fence goes up, that's not a hill to die on.
Canada's Minister of Veteran Affairs calling the move completely unacceptable after what he described as flagrant desecration of the monument. But those involved say the memorial should be accessible.
I mean, that's mine. You know, that's veteran stuff there. I mean, we're on the same page here.
At Rideau in Sussex, the party atmosphere returning as thousands make their way back to the capital for the third straight weekend. At O'Connor, a hot tub had been set up, and on Wellington, new tents and areas for children to play.
It's fun here. Everybody's friendly. I mean, our children are going to have a great time. It's like the safest carnival to be at.
Less than 24 hours after Ontario declared a state of emergency and issued new punishing fines for those blocking roadways, protesters refused to move. And newcomers settling in, like this Montreal man who's been sleeping in his truck with his 10-year-old daughter for the past 3 days.
She has everything she needs, so I don't care. They can say whatever they want.
And the incoming extreme cold, not enough to send them home.
Ça va, des fois on a eu froid, mais c'était correct.
Meeting Ottawa residents are in store for another weekend of undeterred celebrations as the siege on the downtown core pushes through its 16th day.
That's Colton Prail reporting in Ottawa for us tonight. Let's turn now to Toronto, where hundreds once again took to the streets to protest COVID-19 mandates. Police have blocked off roadways to keep large trucks away from the provincial legislature at Queen's Park. Beth McDonnell has more on that protest.
As people gathered to protest for a second weekend in Toronto.
You still have to have a passport to go and eat at a restaurant or to bring your child to swim. It's not the Canada that I know.
A large and expansive police presence spread out across the city, for a time closing parts of two main highways, the Gardiner Expressway and Don Valley Parkway, and a number of major intersections. The goal to ensure no truck convoys descend in the downtown, block roads, and to preserve safe passage to a strip of large hospitals known as Hospital Row.
There is a coordinated effort across the province by organizers, to try to thwart, obviously, our response. And we have seen misinformation, so certainly, all the intelligence that we gather, we look at it very carefully.
Here in the downtown, police have expanded their perimeter from what they set up last weekend. It goes further north, east, south, and west, away from the Ontario legislature. Some trucks and tractors moved in on city streets last weekend, but left. Today, those types of vehicles appeared to stay away. The closures brought traffic to a crawl in several areas, leaving drivers frustrated.
A drive that normally takes like 15 minutes has taken close to an hour.
It's insane. Some arguing the closed streets to prevent the convoys went too far.
I don't think they needed to close everything. In reality, all it did was filter all the traffic and make life a little bit more miserable for everyone else.
While others, including some protesters, agree the tactics by police make sense.
They do it for a reason. I think they're just keep the peaceful protesting here. That's fine.
Officers also had a significant presence amongst the crowd. Mid-afternoon, protesters moved away from the legislature through the downtown. Police say they planned their presence with the ability to scale up and down as required. Beth McDonnell, CTV News, Toronto.
In other news, federal health officials are signaling major changes could be coming to international travel rules.
With the worst of Omicron now behind us, our government is actively reviewing the measures in place at our borders, and we should be able to communicate changes on this next week.
A senior government source tells CTV News that fully vaccinated Canadians will soon be able to skip the pre-departure PCR test. Instead, they'll be able to return to the country with a proof of a negative rapid test. Falsely accused of child abuse. Coming up, families dealing with fallout from wrongful convictions are calling for change. Tonight's viewer snapshot is from Christine. Well, this bird of prey certainly doesn't look very friendly. Looks like it's ready to eat. Arctic air settles into our region tonight before a midweek warm-up. Details in your full forecast coming up after the break. Welcome back. It's been a chilly day and temperatures are dropping as we speak. Currently it's -7 in Windsor, a bit cooler in Chatham-Kent, sitting at -9. It's not too windy outside right now, so the wind chill is not a big factor. As for the day we had, it's pretty interesting. Our high was +2. That was right at midnight. After that, temperatures were on the decline the entire day, and they'll drop to a low of -11 right before midnight. Our sunset today is at 6 p.m. That's pretty good news. As for your overnight conditions, we're looking at cloudy and calm. We continue to drop in the temperatures, -9 around 8 p.m. By midnight, -11. That's our low, and 6 a.m. we are looking at possible flurries in the morning and a chilly start to the morning. Here's a look at when those flurries are going to move in. We stay cloudy overnight, but then Sunday in the late afternoon, that's when it gets the heaviest in terms of the snow. It clears out by Monday, so expect about 1 centimeter of snow, nothing too major. As for your 7-day forecast, tomorrow we reach a high of -8, so remaining below seasonal. Monday, still below seasonal, -7, but then midweek, a major pattern change. Wednesday, we're looking at a high of +7 and rain, 5 to 10 millimeters of rain, so it's a bit heavy as well. Temperatures remain in the positives on Thursday. We are looking at a mix of snow or rain, but take a look at Thursday, a major temperature drop by the evening, -12 is our low, and then after that, Friday and into next weekend, temperatures get back into the negatives. To the Olympics now, another podium finish for Canada and a near miss highlight day 8 of action at the Winter Games in Beijing. CTV's Raheen Lathani brings us an update.
I got landed on.
Yeah, she definitely did. Canada's Marietta O'Dine was knocked to the snow by an Italian competitor in the mixed team snowboard cross final. But the 24-year-old quickly recovered to claim the bronze medal with teammate Elliot Grandin.
I took a bit of a lower flight trajectory on the first jump, and she popped it as hard as she could, and I ended up underneath her board and face first into the snow. And then I got up and just said, get over this jump first and try and make it to the finish line before she does, because there's one more medal up for grabs and I want it.
It's the second medal for both O'Dine and Grandin, and the 5th of the Games for Canada's snowboarders.
It's a great time for snowboarding in Canada right now with the amount of athletes that are coming up through the system, and to see the results that we're getting there at the Olympics right now is unbelievable.
Laurent Dubray nearly earned Canada's 14th medal of the Games. The 29-year-old speed skater was the gold medal favorite in the 500-meter, but he finished 4th, missing the podium by just 3/100ths of a second. All 3 Canadian figure skating duos have qualified for the free dance portion of the ice dance competition. Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier are in 6th place after the rhythm dance, while Canada's 2 other pairs sit in 8th and 13th place. The free dance is scheduled for day 10. Canada's men's hockey team came out on the wrong end of their first Olympic meeting with Team USA since 2014. A 4-2 loss drops Canada to 1-1, heading into their final group stage match against China on day 9.
They need to focus on that next game. They need to get that next win and then get into the quarterfinals. And at that point, it's just making sure you show up that night and get to the semis and then to that finals. But they can't think too far ahead. Now it's just focusing on that next game. Forget about the loss, correct some things, and get ready.
And Sweden was double trouble for Canada's curlers. Both the men's and women's teams lost to the Swedes in round-robin play. Raheem Ladani, CTV News.
The U.S. Department of State has issued a travel advisory for Ukraine today. The advisory states that U.S. citizens should not travel to the country. Those already there should depart immediately using commercial or other privately available transportation options. The departure of the most U.S. direct hire employees from Embassy Kiev has also been ordered. The advisory comes due to the increased threats of Russian military action. U.S. citizens who remain in Ukraine are being warned that the U.S. government will not be able to evacuate them in the event of Russian military action anywhere in Ukraine. In Canada, any professional who suspects a child might be abused is required to report it to authorities. That can be parents, teachers, coaches, and when flagged in hospitals, doctors too. But what happens when a doctor's diagnosis proves to be wrong? It's the focus of a W5 investigation tonight. Molly Thomas reports.
This is Zoe, only 8 years old and used to going to the hospital. One of her first visits was to McMaster Children's Hospital when she was just 11 weeks old.
I was laying her down and her whole kind of shoulder just kind of popped into my hand and she screamed right away.
Doctors found a broken collarbone and rib fractures, and specialized pediatricians assessed whether there were signs of child abuse.
The lead pediatrician said that it looked like our daughter had been thrown against the wall.
I would have never, ever imagined in my life that I would have been the suspect of a child abuse allegation.
Children's Aid stepped in and wouldn't allow Monica and Brad to be alone with their daughter for months. The couple says McMaster refused to consult with another hospital, so they had to beg for a second opinion elsewhere.
We got a clinical diagnosis. So sick kids put on paper that Zoe had osteogenesis imperfecta,
a rare bone disease identified by specialists from another hospital. In Canada, medical second opinions are not mandated in child abuse cases, but in Texas,
it allows the court to consider a second medical opinion.
A new law ensures they are, after many parents were wrongfully accused.
Were doctors wrong here?
Absolutely. You have the white coat syndrome. If the doctor says it, then it must be true.
Oh, this one too.
The Schneiders want those same protections here, so other parents don't suffer like they did. Molly Thomas, CTV News, Toronto.
You can see the entire investigation on W5's dubious diagnosis tonight at 10 p.m. right here on CTV Windsor. Turning now to the Super Bowl and the highly anticipated conclusion to the NFL season. The Los Angeles Rams square off tomorrow against the Cincinnati Bengals. ABC's Kaylee Harton joins us from SoFi Stadium with all the Super Buzz.
Just one more sleep before kickoff for Super Bowl 56. The excitement ramping up for a matchup almost no one predicted.
I'm betting on the Rams about $500. I got the Rams.
SoFi Stadium in all its splendor, ready to pack more than 70,000 fans into the multi-billion-dollar home of the Rams.
This stadium itself was built for the Super Bowl.
Los Angeles bracing for what could be the hottest Super Bowl in NFL history, with two quarterbacks geared up to beat the Heat.
I kind of got tired of the whole underdog thing. We're in the Super Bowl, and we're a really good team that deserves to be here.
The Bengals trying to bring the first Super Bowl championship back to Cincinnati, led by young quarterback Joe Burrow, with all his confidence and swagger on.
Still didn't get him. Oh my goodness, how did he get another chance?
And off the field. Just 2 years into the NFL, and he's engineered the quickest turnaround for a franchise in league history. But it's the Rams and their team of superstars who are the favorite.
Every scar, every tear, every
smile, every bit of pain is all for this.
Quarterback Matthew Stafford's experience giving them an edge and a chance at his first ring in his 13th season in the league, and first with the Rams.
You know, we're just excited about the opportunity, just like everybody would think. You know, we've had a great week of preparation, and you know, we're excited to get out there and play.
The anticipation just as supercharged. For halftime, starring 5 legends of hip-hop and R&B, promising to be an epic, nostalgic experience.
We want to make sure everybody knows that this is one of the best halftime shows ever.
And there's been a lot of talk about the record-breaking, jaw-dropping cost to get in to SoFi Stadium. Well, believe it or not, ticket prices have actually fallen more than $1,000 over the past week, making the cheapest, if you can call it that, ticket about $3,000. The average ticket, $8,000. Kaylee Hartung, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm cheering for Stafford, the former Lion. A lesson about kindness and love led a 5-year-old kindergarten student to ask his favorite teacher on a dinner date because he didn't want her to be alone for Valentine's Day. James Gordon reports.
Kindergarten teacher Mandy Strawbridge likes to keep students on their feet, ready for a challenge.
We just had a whole lesson on, how you show love to everybody, no matter what. The kindness, and just you treat them the way you want to be treated.
Little did she know, 5-year-old John Reese Booker was not only listening, but ready to put his little kindness plan into action. What was the plan? Kind of tell me what the plan was.
To take her out for a date.
And did it work?
Yep.
You see, John Reese's favorite teacher is Miss Deborah Peterson, a teacher's aide at Huxford Elementary. The two have become good friends.
I tested him last year in the spring. He come here knowing anything. I said, John Reese, you gonna be mine. I said, I'm gonna work with you. I said, you'll get to where you got to go. And I told his mom, I said, don't worry about him. I said, cause we like for him coming to us not knowing anything so we can see him grow. And he has really bloomed. He just took attached to me, and I've been attached to him ever since.
John Reese knew Valentine's Day was coming up, and he didn't want Miss Peterson to be alone. He gave her a rose and a card he made himself.
Then I opened the card up and it said, will you go to dinner with me at David's Saturday at 6 o'clock? And I said, of course, yes.
Why'd you pick the catfish place?
Because that's where her favorite place to eat is at.
And so the story goes. If you're out and about in the Atmore area on Valentine's and see these two together, you'll know why.
That is just so sweet. Well, we'll leave you tonight with a look at the protest that has choked up traffic at the Ambassador Bridge. Police tonight continue their efforts to clear the blockade. The situation remains very much fluid at this time. For the latest updates throughout the evening, visit our website, ctvnewswindsor.ca. We will be back here at 11 with your only late local newscast to continue our coverage. Stay safe and bye for now.